Hello everyone again. Today in this video we are going to see guidance and counseling, which will be the elective paper for you. As you know very well that this paper is a half paper which contain 5 units. So what is guidance? You know very well what is the meaning for the word guidance. So guidance is nothing but guiding somebody. Okay, guiding someone in a proper way. That is called as guidance. So in general, it means helping people to make wise choices, to make some choices and solve their problems in education, vocation, and also in personal. Everybody have some personal problems, right? So if you are having any problem, what will you do? So you will seek guidance from your parents, right? You will seek guidance from your parents, or you will seek guidance from your friends, or you will seek guidance from your teaching faculty, anybody. So in this paper, you will learn about what is guidance and what is counseling. So how to guide your students. You're going to become a teacher, right? So in future you will be guiding so many people, and in future you will be counseling so many students, and all the classroom has some problems and all the individual has some problems. So as teachers you have to find out those problems, and you have to rectify those problems, or give some, or you have to give some proper solution to those problems. Okay, so this course will develop some certain skills among teacher trainees to understand the learners and provide some educational, vocational, and personal guidance, which will lead to a profitable life or a good life. So let's see about the introduction of guidance and counseling in this video. Okay. So here in this video, we are going to see the following headings, like introduction and definition of guidance and counseling, difference between guidance and counseling, purpose and function of guidance and counseling, characteristics of guidance and counseling, need and scope for guidance and counseling, principles of guidance, types of guidance services, basic components of counseling services, other types of counseling, qualities of a good counselor, characteristics or qualities of counselors. The term guidance and counseling are a twin concept and have emerged as an essential element for every educational activity. So when you say guidance and counseling are twin concept, so guidance and counseling will be overlapping on each other. So both the purpose resembles the same. For example, so if you have any problem, I can guide you in some way. Again, in the same way, if you have any problem, I can give you some counseling. So guidance and counseling are twin concept, and guidance and counseling are not opposite terms. Counseling is a part of guidance. Guidance in educational context means to indicate, point out, show the way, lead out, or direct. It means, so guidance in educational context means it will help an individual to come out in a successful way in his life or in his educational activity. And counseling is a specialized service of guidance. So it is the process of helping an individual to learn more about themselves and their present and possible future situations to make a substantial contribution to the society. So again, when you say counseling is a specialized service of guidance, it is a part of guidance. Counseling is a part of guidance, and it will go in depth. So guidance will be like an outline, and counseling you should go in depth into a problem. So that's what they are saying. It will help them to learn more about themselves, and more about themselves at their present, and it will help them more about themselves in their future too, so they can predict. So both this guidance and counseling can be explained as a process of guiding a person or a group to overcome their difficulty and they can be more productive in their educational aspect. So next is definition of guidance, and there are lots and lots of definition given by some experts. A few definition I have taken for you. Guidance is an assistance made available by a competent counselor to an individual of any age to help him direct his own life, develop his own point of view, make his own decision, and carry his own burden. So this is definition given by Hamrin and Erickson. So he is telling that guidance is an assistance which is available by a competent counselor to an individual. So guidance can be given by a competent person, or it can be given by a normal person too. So guidance can be given by anybody, but when it comes to counseling, only an expert can give counseling. So for example, in our home, our parents are guiding us in several ways. So they are not an expert in guidance and counseling, but they are guiding us. Okay, so guidance can be provided by anyone, but when it comes to counseling, it should be given by an expert in counseling. Okay, so from the first definition, you can say that it is an assistance. It is an assistance given to an individual of any age. It can be small kid or an elder one or an older one. So guidance can be given to anybody of any age to develop their life. Okay. So the next definition is guidance is a process of helping every individual through his own effort to discover and develop his potentialities for his personal happiness and social usefulness. Again, it is a process. It is a process of helping an individual for developing his personal happiness and social usefulness too. Okay. Counseling is essentially a process in which the counselor assists the counselee to make interpretations of facts relating to a choice, plan, or adjustment which he needs to make. So, here in this definition, so counseling, as I told you earlier, counseling is a process between a counselor and a counselee. The person who provides counseling is called as a counselor, and the person who is receiving the counseling is called as a counselee, or you can also call him as a client. Okay, so if I am having a problem and I am going to solve it with a professional counselor, so I'll be the client for him. This counseling process is a planned or structured dialogue between a counselor and a client. And also, it is a cooperative process in which a trained professional helps a person who is called as a client to identify the source of difficulties and concerns that he or she is experiencing. Next, we will see the difference between guidance and counseling. Guidance is a broader and comprehensive in nature, and counseling is a in-depth process and it is a narrow process. So when you say guidance is a broader and comprehensive, and counseling is in-depth and narrow, in guidance you can deal with several aspects that is broader, but when it comes to counseling you can deal with some specific aspects. Okay, that's why it is called as a narrow one. Next, guidance is more external, and it helps a person to understand alternative solutions available to him and makes him understand his personality and choose the right solution. And counseling helps people to understand themselves in an inward analysis. Alternative solutions are proposed to help understand the problems at hand. Guidance is more external means, so in depth will not be given in guidance, but in counseling in depth analysis will be done by the counselor to the client. Okay, next, guidance is mainly preventive and developmental, and counseling is remedial as well as preventive and developmental. For example, if we are having any problem, what will we do? We will go and consult with our parents, and we will consult with our friends or relatives or whoever it is. So that is called as guidance. So it is like it is a process through which you can prevent something, or you can develop yourself. But when it comes to counseling, it is a remedial thing for a problem which you are having. For example, if you are having some psychological disorder, for example, if you are always being very sad, so there is a certain problem in an individual, so that particular individual should go and meet a counselor to rectify those problems. Okay, so it is a remedial measure, but guidance is a preventive measure, and counseling, it is also preventive as well as it is a remedial measure for a problem. So intellectual attitudes are the raw material of guidance, and in counseling, emotional rather than pure intellectual attitudes are raw material of the counseling process. So in guidance, only intellectual attitudes are the raw material. For example, intellectual attitude means, so if you are having any problem in your educational aspect or your vocational aspect, so you can seek guidance from your teachers, or you can seek guidance from your parents, whoever it is. But when it comes to counseling, it is very emotional. Emotional means every individual have some problem, right? There are so many emotional problems for the students, there are so many emotional problems for the teachers, there are so many emotional problems for the common people, whoever it is, everybody have some common problem. When it comes to counseling, that emotional aspect is also given importance, not only purely intellectual. This emotional aspect will also be given much more importance in counseling. Okay, guidance operates at an intellectual level, while counseling operates at an emotional level. Then guidance is generally educational and career related, and also it can be some personal problems. But when it comes to counseling, it is mostly offered for personal and social issues. So this is very very important. So guidance can be given for education and career related issues, but counseling is given for personal problems and social problems. Next up, purpose of guidance and counseling. So, what is the purpose for giving guidance and counseling? So, we will see about it. So, the first is it provides the needed information and assistance for the needed people, and it helps an individual to make a, a correct choice. It improves the understanding level of an individual, and it facilitate the adjustment. Guidance and counseling helps in adapting to the changes or new environment. For example, so you have studied in a different college 2 years back. Now you are in this college. So it is, whether it is easy for you to adapt to our environment. So most of you have been complaining, right? So this is in UG and all we have enjoyed a lot. But here you are giving lots of works, lots of assignments, lots of seminars, so many complaints, right? So that is what. So for all your complaints, what did our faculty members suggested you? So there are some suggestions for you, right? So why we are giving this much of works for you? So those are the guidance which is given by your faculty members to adapt to the new environment of our college. Okay, then making self-sufficient and independent and efficient use of capability and talent, promote the optimal personal and professional development, balanced physical, psychological, emotional, social and spiritual growth. It also helps in overall development and to live a productive life. When you say the purpose of guidance and counseling is to effectively use the talents and capability. So in our classroom there will be so many students, and you cannot expect that everybody will be equal, right? So some people will be good in studies, and some people will be average in studies, and some people will be very very poor in studies, right? So you have to identify the talents of the students, and you have to make them to utilize those talents in certain ways. So what you will be doing now, you will be giving them some guidance, right? Okay, so for their particular individual talent, so you should provide some guidance. Okay, So that's why if you provide guidance, they can use it effectively in a certain way, and also it will promote the optimum personal and professional development. If you provide guidance and counseling for an individual, you can bring the optimal development of from him. Okay. And so balanced physical, psychological, emotional, and spiritual growth will be developed if you provide guidance and counseling. Next, functions of guidance and counseling. So again we'll be seeing the same points. To provide optimum development and the well-being of individual, to help individual adjust to themselves and to the society, to help people understand themselves in relation to the world, to aid individual in efficient decision making. So to aid individual in efficient decision making means, so if somebody is confused whether I should select A or I should select B, so there comes the role of a guidance and a counseling. So if I am having a confusion in choosing from two option, I can help so what is A and what is B, and I can make him to select the next so he'll be having a confusion what is A and what is B. So what is the role of a guidance and counselor means, so I have to give him what will happen if you select A and what will happen if you select B, and then the rest is his job to select so that's what aid. It is an aid for an individual in efficient decision making. It is a aid. It is a aid means it is a help. Okay. Then to help individual for plan for a productive life in social context by focusing on their assets, skills, strengths, possibilities for further development. Next, to bring about changes in their attitude and behavior of individual. Next is characteristics of guidance. uh, I have told you already, it is a process and it is a continuous process. Choice and problem points are the distinctive concerns of guidance. It is the assistance to the individual in the process of development rather than a direction of that development. And guidance is a service meant for all. Guidance is both generalized and specialized service. Guidance is more an art than science. Guidance is centered around the needs and aspirations of students, and guidance is an organized service, not an incidental activity of the school. So when you say it is the assistance to the individual in the process of development rather than a direction of the development, so it is an assistant. Guidance is a kind of assistance, not a direction. Okay. In guidance you can only assist someone, you should not direct. Assist means, that's what I told you, know there are two options, A and B. You should not tell him to select A, or you should not tell him to select B. You have to say what is A and what is B, and it is up to their wish to select A or B. And when you say it is a continuous process, so you have to guide somebody continuously. For example, if you are the class teacher of 5th standard, so you will not only guide your student in your period, so you'll be watching over him for the whole day, what he is doing, how he is behaving inside the classroom, or how he is behaving with other teachers, how he is behaving with his friends, how he is behaving with the common people who is inside the school campus. So that's what, so everything should be continuously guided if he or she is having a problem in his attitude. Next, characteristics of counseling. Counseling involves two individuals, one who is seeking for help and the other a professionally trained person who can help the other one. There should be a relationship or of mutual respect between the two individual. So the relationship between the counselor and the client should be a good relationship. Why? Because only if you have a good relationship with the client, he can answer whatever question the counselor is asking. So that's why the relationship between the counselor and the client should be mutual. Counseling is aimed at bringing about desired changes in the individual for self realization and providing assistance to solve problems through an intimate personal relationship. So here in counseling, the counselor discovers the problem of the counselee and helps him to set up some realistic goals. So, for example, in hospital there are psychiatry department. So you might have seen in many hospital. Okay, so what there will happen? Don't think that psychiatry department will only deal with some mentally disturbed persons. So normal people can also go for some psychiatric counseling. For example, you are being ignored in your family by other members of your family, and you are slightly disturbed of this behavior from your family members. So you are not concentrating good in your education, and you are not concentrating good with your friends or whatever it is. So you are disturbed in some way that your family members are ignoring you. Okay, so this is a problem which should be assisted immediately. So you can go to some professionally trained person for seeking help. So that particular person will analyze what are the problem you are facing by your family members, and he will give you a certain solution, or he will give you a proper remedial measure through which you can overcome those problems. Counseling is more than advice giving. So in guidance, it is just an advice which can be given to the person. But when it comes to counseling, it is more than advice giving. It involves something more than offering an assistance to find a solution to an immediate problem. And counseling concerns itself with attitudes as well as actions. Counseling is centered around the need and aspiration of students. Next is scope of guidance and counseling. So, guidance and counseling for personal needs and problems, guidance and counseling for educational needs and problems, guidance and counseling for physical, emotional, social, moral, and marriage problems. Guidance and counseling for occasional, occupational, and professional needs. Guidance and counseling for career advancement, guidance and counseling for holistic individual development. So in all these areas you can provide guidance and counseling. So all these areas like personal problems, educational problems, physical, emotional, social, moral, and marriage problems, occupational problems, career advancement, holistic development. So in all these areas you can give guidance and counseling for an individual. Next, we will see need for guidance and counseling. So, what is the need for providing guidance and counseling? So, when it comes to need, there are so many needs for an individual to get guidance and counseling. So, the first one is need for personal and social domain. So, in personal and social domain, uh, guidance and counseling is needed for personal and social development of an individual, and it is needed for offering art of better life. It is needed for proper use of leisure time. Guidance is needed for holistic personality development, and it is needed for adapting for different stages of development. So many needs are there in personal and social domains. Next, need for educational and professional domain. So, what is the need for guidance and counseling in educational and professional domain? So, it helps in academic growth and development. It helps in vocational and professional maturity. It facilitates an individual in the right direction and profession. It offers help to handle educational and professional situations. It helps in a proper utilization of human resources. It helps in adapting to the changing concept of education. It helps in making a proper career choice. It helps to minimize indiscipline in a classroom. So here we will see the principles of guidance. So there are so many principles of guidance. Uh, the first one is all-round development of an individual. Principle of individual differences. So you know very well that every individual is different. Guidance is related to every aspect of life. cooperating among persons. Guidance is a continuous and lifelong process. Guidance for all, flexibility, principle of evaluation. These are the principles which you have to follow when you are providing guidance to a person. Flexibility, so it is one of the principle of guidance. So flexibility means, so a person should be flexible enough to adjust or to adapt to certain environment. So when he is receiving certain guidance from an expert or a common people, he should be flexible enough to change to that environment. Next is types of guidance services. There are different types of guidance services provided, like personal guidance, social guidance, educational guidance, occasional guidance, health guidance, and occasional guidance. So you know very well what is personal guidance and what is social guidance. So in personal guidance, you can give guidance for some personal issues, and when it comes to social guidance, you can guide somebody how to behave in society or how to be a good human being or whatever it is. Next, educational guidance means providing guidance in educational aspect, and occasional guidance means providing guidance in selecting a proper and a perfect occasion for an individual. And next, health guidance. Health guidance, yeah, for example, even your mom is a health guidance provider, for because she's providing you good food, and she's asking you to eat in time. So if you're skipping your morning breakfast, she will scold you, so she is also providing guidance for you. So you should eat breakfast properly. So that is health guidance. And a vocational guidance. So there is a difference between occasion and a vocation. Occasion is a work what you do because you have to do, that is a vocation. Because you have to do means it is a job, that is occasion. When it comes to a vocation, it is what you do for pleasure. So it is what you do for pleasure, so you will get only pleasure in it, not money or whatever it is. Okay. Even guidance should be provided in this aspect too. Okay, why? Because your skill and your talent should not be wasted in other ways. Next, basic components of counseling services. So what are the basic components for providing counseling services? So first of all, you have to set up an organization. So set up an organization means you have to set up a room. You have to set up a perfect place for providing counseling. And a counseling center. So counseling center, it is a place where you provide counseling. Next, counseling committee means members of counselors who are present. Next, you should have tools for counseling service. Tools means there are so many tools for providing counseling. We will see in detail when we are seeing counseling. And requirements of counseling service, there are so many requirements for providing counseling. Okay, that we will see deep in the next video. So other types of counseling. Counseling are classified into different types based on the way how we are counseling. So the first one is based on length of the counseling session. There are two types of counseling, that is short term counseling and the other one is long term counseling. Short term counseling will end as early as possible, and long term counseling means there will be so much of follow up sessions in which the client or the counselee has to come again and again and again until the problem has completely eradicated. So the next category is counseling based on the numbers of counselee involved. So in that category there are two types. The first one is individual counseling and group counseling. So individual counseling will be given individually between the client and the between the counselor and the client. And group counseling means a counseling can be given for a whole class or a whole school or some different students from different schools likewise. So counseling given for more than 2 or 3 people is called as group counseling. And the third one is counseling for educational and professional purpose. So in that category there are student counseling, educational counseling, vocational counseling, career counseling, and placement counseling. So in students counseling you can give counseling for students who are having some problem in various category like classroom problems, family problems, whatever it is. Then educational counseling means counseling given in the aspect of education, like choosing the profession, or choosing the course, or choosing the subjects, so and so. Next is occasional counseling. Occasional counseling means selecting a proper occasion, selecting a proper field. Okay, then career counseling, again career occasional are both are same. Then placement counseling, so for attending a campus interview or placement service, you have to undergo some certain techniques which you have to follow, and those techniques can be taught in such kind of counseling centers. Next, the fourth one is counseling for health related purpose. In that category, we have psychotherapeutic counseling, crisis counseling, health counseling, and genetic counseling. So, psychotherapeutic counseling is a common counseling which is given for a person who are mentally or psychologically, emotionally, or whatever it is. So they will be disturbed in such area, and they can go for psychotherapeutic counseling. And next is crisis counseling. Whenever you are having some crisis, whenever you are having some problem, you can go and seek such kind of counseling. And health counseling is counseling given by some doctors for having a good health. It can be in food, it can be in sleeping, it can be in medication, whatever. So health counseling can be given by some professional who are well qualified in counseling. And genetic counseling, certain genetic disorders, there are people who are having some genetic problems which is coming up through some generation to generation for them. Such kind of problems can be dealt in this genetic counseling. And the next fifth one is counseling for personal and social purpose. In that we have personal counseling, marriage counseling, motivational counseling, and developmental counseling. So personal counseling, in personal you can give counseling for so many personal issues. And marriage counseling, the Christians will know this very well. So before marriage they will be going for counseling for certain period of time, and that will help them to have good marriage life. And next is motivational counseling. Motivational seminars has been conducted in so many institutions. Even we had some motivational seminars. So that kind of seminars and counseling will help the individual to perform well in other aspects. Then developmental counseling means counseling given for an individual development, or group development, or community development, so and so. Okay, so these are some different types of counseling. So next we have qualities of a good counselor. So a good counselor should possess these qualities, like good technical knowledge, confidentiality maintenance, unbiased, then empathetic, listens carefully, open minded, respect the rights of the patients, sensitive to the needs of the patient. So a good counselor should be a good should have some good technical knowledge. Technical knowledge means a counselor should know how to use some technologies, like a computer and other various gadgets are there, electronic gadgets are there. So a good counselor should know, or should have some knowledge about technology. Then next is confidentiality maintenance. So it is very very important quality of a good counselor. So a good counselor uh, should should deal the issues with the client in a confidential manner. So whatever the problem the client is conveying to the counselor, he should not reveal that problem of him to some other persons like his friends. So when I'm going to a counselor for a problem, and I trust that particular counselor, and I say everything about myself and other thing to him, so he should keep it confidentially. So he should not reveal my problem to others. That is confidential maintenance. Next, a good counselor should be unbiased. Unbiased means he should be impartial. He should not do some favors to the patients in so many things. He should be unbiased means he should be a neutral person. He should be a neutral person. Next, empathetic. A good counselor should behave in an empathetic way to the patient or client. So there are two terms: sympathy and empathy. Sympathy means feeling for others' problem, and empathy means you should get into that problem and feel as if the person is feeling for it. So empathetic and sympathetic. So a good counselor should be sympathetic as well as he should be empathetic. Then listens carefully. So only after listening to the problems of the client only the counselor can give some solutions to those problems. So a good counselor should listen to many things. Then next is open minded. This you know very well. Then respect the rights of the patient and sensitive to the needs of the patient. So these are the qualities of a good counselor. Next, characteristics of a good counselor, and there are so many characteristics like personal characteristics, interpersonal relationship, personal adjustment, scholastic potentiality, health and personal appearance, leadership skill. So we will see one by one. So in personal characteristics, a counselor should be imbibed with the basic human qualities, and a counselor should be a person with cultural values and awareness. A counselor should have a deep interest in helping people. A counselor should patiently listen to others. A counselor should be tolerate and accept the patient's point of view. So these are the personal characteristics which a counselor should have. Then next is interpersonal relationship. So interpersonal relationship with the client. So a counselor should behave in a friendly nature and sympathetic in understanding. Then sincerity. A counselor should be sincere to the client. And next, the ability to maintain confidentiality and attentive listener. So we have discussed these 2 points earlier in the previous slide. Next, personal adjustment. In personal adjustment, the counselor should maintain emotional stability, and the counselor should be emotionally sound and healthy. A counselor should be able to accept criticism. A counselor should behave in a patient's way. So maintain emotional stability means, so when the client is telling about his problem and feeling sad, so the counselor should maintain some emotional stability. He should be stable, then only he can provide some good solution to the client. And also he should be emotionally sound and healthy. Emotionally sound and healthy means he should not feel sad for the client. So what is his duty? No, he should provide some good solution or remedial measure for the problem. So that is his duty. So for that he should be emotionally sound and healthy. For example, there will be so many problems like family problems, the some we so when we listen to such kind of family problems, so as a counselor we should be strong enough to listen to their problem, and we should be able to give them some proper remedial solutions to those problems. So you should not feel very sad, and you should not and worry about that problem. So your duty is to provide solution to the problem. So next is accept criticism. So sometimes the client may not be happy with your counseling, sometimes the client may be very very happy with your counseling. So you should be ready to accept both the positive criticism as well as the negative criticism. Then you should be very patient. Then in scholastic potentiality, a counselor should have relevant knowledge in counseling, and a counselor should be motivated and committed towards his profession. And a counselor should be aware of policies, beliefs, misconceptions, and rumors in the community. And a counselor should possess common sense, and he or she should be a good judgment, should provide a good judgment. So when you say a counselor should be aware of policies, beliefs, misconceptions, and rumors in community. So when you are going to give some remedial measures or some solution to a problem, you should be aware of the consequences of which you are going to say. So that is what you should know about the policies which is available or which is prevailing in the society. And you should also not trash or smash the belief of the society. So there is certain traditional things which we follow, no? So those things also should be followed in this counseling. So next is health and personal appearance. So the counselor should have a pleasing voice and pleasing appearance, and counselor should have vitality. Vitality means some energetic. He should be an energetic person, and he should possess endurance. Endurance means some tolerate things. And next, the he should be free from any kind of mannerism. So next we have leadership skill. In leadership skill, a counselor should have the ability to stimulate things, and a counselor should reinforce important information. A counselor should direct the counselee to ways to solve the problems. And the next category of characteristics is philosophy. In philosophy, the counselor should have good character. A counselor should have integrated personality. A counselor should have faith in human values. So when you say good character, it it depends on everything. It involves everything. Okay, he should be a good human being actually. So faith in human values means he should be a person who follows the values of the society and the values of human being. Okay, the next is professional dedication. So a counselor should show enthusiasm, and a counselor should maintain helping relationship with the client, and a counselor should have a nice sense of morality. So enthusiasm means the counselor should be energetic and a helping minded person, and he should have a good sense of morality. So these are the basic characteristics which a counselor should have. So that's all for the introduction of guidance and counseling. So we will see the types of guidance and counseling in the next video, and I hope you have an idea about what is guidance and what is counseling, and what are the characteristics of guidance and counseling, what are the principles of guidance, and role of counselor, purpose of counseling, everything. So I have given an introduction for guidance and counseling. So if you have any doubt, you can post your questions. Thank you.